Hi, I'm Crit, and finding good Roblox games in this day and age is like trying to kiss your homies. I mean, 90% of the time, they brush it off as a cheap joke, a hollow farce at quality unable to live up to anyone's expectations but those of brain-rotted toddlers. But sometimes you feel it. Experience some of the best creations to come out of humanity with the best gameplay and story and graphics my eyes have ever had the pleasure to lay upon. And like kissing the homies, you gotta savor those moments. I'm talking about heists so big, Payday could only dream, boss fights so cancerous that it makes Dark Souls look like a therapist, and movement so good that Titanfall looks quadriplegic in comparison. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Roblox Ripoffs, better than the original, starting off with maybe one of the best games to ever grace this beautiful planet. Entry point, the Freelancer cut. Ever wanted to get away with robbing a bank fully armed with aura, riz, and hype moments, or spam intimidation so you can stealthily hostage guards in broad daylight and move them out of your way? Maybe forget all of that and blow up the walls of C4, all packed in some of the best executed heist sequences I've ever seen. Let's take, for example, the Deposit, which is an all-time goated level. Look at this skill tree. You can be literally anyone you want. Say you want to skip the disguising and weren't into pickpocketing, but rather social engineering. Well, in this case, you walk in all confident, and when a guard questions you about why you're trespassing, you talk out your ass and they fully believe it. And it's a really bad decision because it leads the branch manager next to a hidden room where you use intimidation to hold her hostage and knock her out. But there's a threat, the head of security. Luckily, he's a little stupid, and we can sneak behind him where we go into the security room and proceed to knock out both members and steal his master keycard. And this isn't even to mention the multitude of other parts you could have gotten, like burning through the fucking ground with thermite, or just going up to the bowl and blowing it up with C4. To each their own. See, going back to the full stealth run, we did everything perfect. Got all the information we needed, cleared out the entire bottom floor, and readied ourselves for the rewards. Drilled the sensors and prepared to open the vault. But the moment we did,
I forgot there was a camera here.
Let's go.
We are fucked. Now, this is the moment the game turns from Hitman 3 to Payday 2, rushing over with your loot to the emergency escape, which is now blocked, and a shootout occurs, dodging between cars and pillars, fighting for our lives, and in a moment of desperation, we rushed forward, shooting and praying that the guards died before we did. Fully aware that at any second, our lives could end in an instant, counting down until finally it was done, and the relief it felt was unbelievable. I mean, truly, it was like being edged, and if being edged is your definition of fun, then Abyss World is the game for you. Imagine combining Dark Souls, Jump King, and Made in Abyss into the same game. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a punishment reserved only for those in the deepest, darkest layers of hell. I mean, three of the most miserable, depressing, tedious, and dark pieces of media ever made all slapped into one. This must be the literal Antichrist, but what if I told you that this is like my second favorite game on this list? The idea is very simple. Jump your way down the abyss, but the execution is magical. Roblox games can often feel like they're trapped in a middle zone of being too detailed and too undetailed, which makes for some experiences that look incredibly cheap and inconsistent, but this game does not suffer from that. The art style is simply impeccable. Everything is handmade and colorful, and the atmosphere is thick. You go from platform to platform, edging yourself to not over or under jump, lest you fall to your death. And as you slowly circle your way through the town, you discover how many damn routes there are. I mean, you'll naturally find yourself in these parties of people taking turns to cross jumps and using each other as human flesh bags to test what angles work. And you will see your companions accidentally throw themselves into the abyss when they were so close to the finish line, all met with the beauty that comes from the fragility of life and the triumph when you recover from a mistake. The Moss Underhand only exacerbates this. The first difficulty spike, you go from hopping across roofs illuminated under the bright sun and exploring a thriving civilization overlooking this beautiful pit, to this dark but lush area held up beneath the sky. And beneath that is a faint green glow, and before you are ramps. Goddamn ramps. These things. These force you to edge like a true master, holding on just long enough before releasing to cover enough distance and not fall into the void, culminating in this. A perfectly timed release down a ramp with no room for error. That was a practice run. Okay, after that experience, I knew I could not make any mistakes. This is the beauty that a death mechanic that has weight brings. If I just respawned next to the jump, it would lose all tension, but here, every jump made was a weight taken off my shoulders. And as I hopped across platform after platform, nearly pissing myself at every close call, the warmth of the worker's burrow embraced me. The person who designed this world is a true master. Every layer has its own personality and unique beauty. Here, it was the remnants of a mining camp, hopping from crane to crane on these things once used in great industry as I took my campfire, giving me a second to look down and realize that there was still so much waiting for me at the bottom of this pit. In my opinion, the reason this game feels inspired by Dark Souls isn't even the campfires, it's the map design. Everything interlocks with each other so well. Linking back to paths I didn't know were even half related. Every direction I went led to somewhere. Take this for example. Stuck on the ground, I made this massive jump over to the next platform and tightly crossed these hanging boards only to end up above where I originally came from, discovering that this was a whole new entrance to the challenge alongside some items I could use to craft. The details of this world are genuinely amazing and exploring felt worth it even through the risk of dying. This trend continued as I kept making my way through because this area was so incredible. The thought of working on these sketchy ass platforms hanging on a couple chains dangling over the literal abyss was a funny thought and made me genuinely feel like an adventurer. And as I reached the 4th level, the beauty of the game truly set in. This is a once in a lifetime experience and I heavily suggest it. But if we're talking about vibes and horror, I don't think there's any game better than Containment Breach 2. SCP Anomaly Breach 2 is SCP Containment Breach, but in Roblox. And honestly, I think it's a direct upgrade. I'm a Class D personnel, a sacrifice, a prisoner convicted of the most terrible crimes sent to the facility to be tested where, well, there is no life, no hope. I am a dead man. And as I wait for the guards to pick me up, I realize 2 things. 1, a stamina bar, pretty normal. And 2, a blink bar. And the moment I saw that, I realized I was gonna be in for a damn treat, baby. See, as I got escorted down, the basic layout of the facility is revealed. There's 2 other dudes around me, and we entered, getting ready to clean the cell, but I knew full well what was about to happen. And just as I predicted, the power began to fail. At first, it was only the sound of a snapping neck from one person. But then, as the lights flickered once more, the other prisoner fell as well, and I was left alone as the facility went into lockdown. I had been given a ticket to heaven, but to get there, I would have to go through hell. I panically, shakily walked out the room, scared for my goddamn life, seeing the devastation left behind. Corpses and blood sprawled across the floors, and I felt my footing betray me as I fell into the old man's pocket dimension, with only one other person keeping me company in his cold, infinite abyss made exclusively to torture its capture. Okay, they're sucking my fucking cock. Yeah, this is the beauty of adding Roblox multiplayer into this traumatic ass horror game, because one moment you're locked in fighting for your life, and next moment another immature teenager's first trauma response is to gawk on my Uno card's dick. But goddamn is this game amazing. You could run into Shy Guy and hear him cry out in pain for half an hour before turning you into a smoothie, or you could get put in the femur breaker, which is exactly what it sounds. It's a machine that snaps your fucking femur where you'll then get feasted on by the old man. I do not want to spoil much because this game is incredible, but if you like SCP and you like Containment Breach or just a good horror game with goofy moments with your friends, check this one out, please. But if you're looking for true speed and fluidity of movement, look no further than Parkour. So you know Roblox's classic obbies, right? You know, the ones with read description in their title? This isn't that. Nope. It's actually a highly realistic simulator with some of the most fluid, dramatic movements in all of gaming. Let me ask you this. Can you do a super jump followed by a double backflip off a wall into a double wall run and land it without breaking your bones in Mirror's Edge? Yeah, that's what I thought. See, the main purpose of this game is simply to dick around in this massive city, except it truly embodies the message of, see that place? You can go there. However, in my opinion, the real purpose of this game is to scale the tallest towers there are, because while exploring is fun, there's nothing like looking outwards on the world like an absolute king, knowing full well that if you mess up for even a second, it will result in your little Lego character falling thousands of meters and splatting like ketchup on the ground. Meet the Vertigo Tower, the first of these challenges. See, right outside spawn, it sits there like a behemoth, challenging anyone who dares to scale its walls to ascend to its peak and prove their skills. The path is simple. Climb all the way up to this crane before someone manages to land on this building without breaking every bone in their body. From there, you super jump to this pipe and the challenge truly begins. What comes next is a precise combinations of techniques and timings, making sure your wall runs last just long enough to double rebound up walls and climb up with mere millimeters to spare. As you get higher and higher, the sight of the city shrinking as you pierce through the clouds is an incredible sight. Anyways, as you get higher and higher, the jumps get harder and harder, and you'll quickly find yourself at the antennas of the buildings. And to truly scale this building, you must get up there. And you might be thinking, how the hell do you do that? Good question. It's called Roblox Jank. See, Roblox Jank, where you spiral your way around the thin rods like a damn snake and somehow manage to propel yourself up. Do I know how the hell I ended up here? Nope. Am I having a stroke trying to edit this footage? Yep, but trust me, it feels so much more intuitive in this game when you're actually playing it, which is the exact same thing I could say for Evade and Nico's Nextbots. Evade is my favorite game on Roblox. I mean, if level 91 didn't tell you that already, I don't know what would. These games are based loosely off GMOD Nextbots, which basically involve summoning a PNG to chase you, and you can scream like an idiot and farm some clips. But let's be honest here, you might be thinking, why the hell don't I just play GMOD Nextbots? And to that I say, I don't think there's a better representation of general Roblox culture better than Evade. There's arguments to be made, you know, the bullshittery that happens in Survive the Natural Disaster competes, even in an age where that identity feels a lot harder to pinpoint down. Now, does it lose literally all of the horror elements that Nextbots had? Yes, there is no way Nextbots can be scary in such a silly map with such silly people knowing full well the moment you're down, people are going to see your dead corpse as a free $sign, but that problem is quickly fixed by another incredible game, Nico's Nextbots. Now this is a horror game. The movement is a lot more simple, you know, spam the ever-living shit out of your spacebar, your mechanical keyboard better sound creamy as hell because it's all you're going to be hearing for the next half hour. This was the first and one of the best. You know, the atmosphere was incredibly thick. Nextbots have genuine jump scares that might catch you off guard, and the map design is incredibly anxious. It echoes this uneasy feeling of being alone and stalked. The walls just dirty enough to never grant you a sense of safety. Every hallway or road open enough that a threat can come flying out of any direction in any moment. I had the pleasure to experience the angry Munchie, the poster boy of this genre behind Obama from the classic hit series, Oh My God, We Sent 50 Cockroaches to Mars. And it was, well, scary at first, seeing these things stalk players through the shadows, but like all of these games, the rewards you get for mastering the movement is near invincibility that makes you feel like a king bouncing in the ground as adrenaline pumps through your cock. I will say the new maps are kind of peak, you know, Russia is incredibly spooky and the tunnel is also an incredibly, you know, vibey place. It's a good game. You should check it out if you have free time. Anyway, speaking of really high polished, high quality feeling games, let's move on to Nameless. Have you ever pressed that subscribe button and comment, baby? Let's go. I'm a small creator, and seeing that it's National Support of a Small Begging Creator YouTuber Day, I think it's contractually obligated that you press that silly button and comment garlic bread in the comments. Have you been so broke you decided to play Dark Souls 3 through Roblox? Yeah, I have. I've been there, but I wish I discovered this one first. This is a demo that involves you basically fighting Ludex Gundia, except there's two differences. One, he's actually a rather good challenge. I know this community. I have to really explain myself for this one so people don't tell me to get good in the comments. The moment Elden Ring Night Rain came out, I beat the entire thing in 2 settings, and I've beaten Elden Ring at level 1 and I've beaten Dark Souls 3 at level 1. So please don't make fun of the footage you're about to see. And before you is a big knight that you have to pull a big sword from his chest to begin the battle. This fight is genuinely quite a good challenge. While it was nothing special because of your limited healing, every mistake was heavily punished and I could not memorize anything. The patterns were very simple, you know, dodge, attack 2 times, dodge, attack 2 times, but in execution it was a tense dance where you could basically only get hit 4 times before you lost the game. Now it's not perfect, sometimes I'll get 5 hits off in a row simply because I somehow managed to glitch this guy out, but it was never fought easy. His second phase is even cooler. He starts with a classic FromSoft AoE followed by an upgraded combo which took his original attacks and added more strings, which will inevitably confuse the hell out of me and often lead to me throwing. And like the majority of FromSoft fights, you'll lose when you get very near the end because oh my god, I fed so many damn times. Like, are you seeing this right now? But it's fine. The next run's the run. I'm at the very end, and as I slowly but surely whittle down his health bar, I prepare to deliver the final blow. Are you f***ing my ass? Anyways, first try guys, it's not even close, but the joy of Roblox Ripoffs has to be multiplayer. And what better example than Retake? I don't like this game at all. It is a cheap ripoff of R.E.P.O, which the devs have pretty consistently stated that they aren't a fan of. But what I do like is my absolute goat, Simba. See, in my last video, I made it mighty clear that their monetization is criminally intrusive and often the gameplay just feels worse, which it does. It has my least favorite form of matchmaking of all time being this goddamn elevator system. Like seriously, the moment I see matchmaking like this, I immediately lose any interest in the game. But meet Simba Barkler 24. See, the first match was very simple. We got our items, made good progression, and it was pleasant to see that we had an actual physics system and item destruction physics. The game looked rather good, and while it felt very short and the physics of the door were truly horrific, it was a pretty solid experience all things considered. Plus, there's even voice chat, so if you truly are too broke or more likely your device cannot run R.E.P.O, it's not the worst thing ever to experience. However, the story starts in the second level where within the first minute of the game, Simba was brutally murdered when a grenade dropped on his head, which is just awesome. At this moment I was preparing to bail, seeing as one of my players was dead, but I decided to continue, and with the other surviving player we ventured into the room where we suddenly got jumped by the monster. But I'm sure he'll be able to dodge it and help me. I'm sure he can outrun it. Oh my fucking god, he just left from the game. It was over. This run was dead. It was just me, and I couldn't do it. But then I saw it in the chat. Simba saying, "I believe in you." I got you, Simba. I got you. And it was very close. I mean, the one single monster is insanely stupid and boring and easy, but when I have the weight of impressing Simba on my shoulders, I had to lock in, dodging between rooms and managing my stamina to make it out alive. And as my heart rate grew and the money in my card expanded, I rushed back all the way down to the beginning and clutched up. But then we realized the harsh truth. The money I took to revive him was gone and the level had not been completed. But Simba, he didn't give up. He never gives up. He rushed back in and we were dedicated to victory. And again, this was close, duking between the monsters, knowing that any mistake would lead to our deaths, but together we found the skulls, potions and other goodies that we needed, and slowly but surely somehow managed to scrape together the funds, rushing back and clutching up one of the most scuffed missions I've ever had the pleasure to experience. I almost never make friends on Roblox, but after a moment like this, it felt like I found my long lost brother. Anyways, let's go fulfill the Ultrakill quota. See, this game is actually Ultrakill's good ending, where everyone becomes friends and spends their day beating the shit out of each other, infinitely feeding off each other's blood so they can survive. It's a perpetual life machine and it's so beautiful it brings a tear to my eye. It's got classic Finnish hits like The Spot and Sisyphus Prime and Gabriel, and well, there's a lot and they're all pretty peak. Minos has his classic blue whizzing hands and a crush or a combo extender, which he can follow up with, not to mention, and of course, Brutal Wrath, where he picks you up by the collarbone and chucks you across the room. God, I wish I was that dummy right now. Finally, you can also throw a snake at that dude. We've got classics like, and, which is such a combination of incredible, awful moves that the moment your ultimate ends, you fucking kill yourself. And it just keeps getting better. These animations look so damn good. It's so smooth and fluid and like, god damn, these guys are so good at what they do. Sisyphus's movements feel heavy and devastating, and the actual combos are recreated so cleanly that he even gets a stand barrage. But when he ults, god damn, classics like, and, but like, dude, they all look so damn cool, but I have this skill of a newborn toddler when it comes to fighting games, and frankly, footage of me actually playing makes me look like a fucking games journalist, so let's brush past it. And hey, with the confirmation of fraud, that ticks another game off my cope list. Let's see, Half-Life 3, but surely that's not coming anytime soon, right? Right? Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Half-Blox. Your eyes do not deceive you. This is Roblox, and this is the entirety of Half-Life 2 on Roblox. Now I remember seeing this demo maybe 1 or 2 years ago alongside an amazing Portal demo, and both blew my mind at the time. I've never played Half-Life before, but I do know that this looks pretty damn good. Don't know about the vast amounts of American Chinese takeout on the floor in the middle of Eastern Europe, but I guess anything can happen. The contrast of this very silly looking Roblox game contrasted with the rather accurate Combine soldiers is a very silly experience, and the fact that the physics system was actually fully remade was damn impressive. Plus, I got to experience this famous scene for the very first time. Now unfortunately, this game is not finished. There's no combat and there's not even any sprinting, but what there is a very good creation of a beloved game. Anyways, I'm getting bored. Serenity is basically Dark Souls 1, I'm not gonna lie, this game was janky as hell. First things first, I heavily suggest the shields because the dodging is very iffy. It's not incredibly accurate and iframes feel incredibly random times, which I think is probably more of an issue on Roblox's side than the developers. Now, should I have parried? Yep. But luckily for me, this game started out great. We start in what feels like Yharnam or something like that, like a zombified Great Wall of Lothric, and this map looks really good. I have a massive soft spot for map designs like this because I grew up on it and nostalgia is very silly. There's even dogs, but like Dark Souls 3, 90% of your problems can and will be solved by pressing the left click button repeatedly. Here's a couple quick tips. Number 1, when starting a Souls-like, please upgrade your health and stamina. But here's the funny bit. I don't have to upgrade stamina in this game because there's so much of it. Honestly, if I didn't start out with this much, this game would probably have been completely impossible. But you won't see that in the first fight. No, you're gonna see that in the fight that comes after this guy, which is the Molten Warden. This fight is what I call an Unga Bunga fest. I'm talking about blocking and spamming light attacks like no one's business, and guess what? It worked. Of course, I dodged the really obvious abilities that I could only dodge, but simply walking left without lock-on often made it so I would just not get hit by his attacks, which basically made it a free fight. If only it was going to stay that easy. See, after going to this game's equivalent of Firelink Shrine, which I can say is very pretty, we move on to the next area, and like, damn. This place is nice. It's a really pretty coastal forest area next to a nice body of water where you'll slowly venture upon my favorite part of the Souls game, and especially Bloodborne, a city. It's one of my only complaints of Elden Ring, that it's a lot less urban than its previous installments, and this game does it really damn well. And yes, I do know Elden Ring has Leyndell, but I'm talking about missing places like Central Yharnam and Irithyll and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying. I felt like I wasn't just wandering around aimlessly, and my exploration was properly rewarded with goodies like this silly hat. However, this goodness quickly led to the next boss, this goddamn angel. This guy's the bane of my existence. At first, I fought with proper design and attack, but the little gaps and AoEs behind his swings made it so frustrating to put down. His attacks went past my shields and I often was left without any stamina. But if I've learned anything from playing so many Roblox fan games, it's that sometimes you just need to embrace it. See, I realized that a lot of his attacks did not hit me if I simply strafed, and especially if I did not lock on. I could simply hug his body while spamming attacks and it should work, and that's exactly what I did, dying over and over again, basically doing a bunch of RNG checks but getting closer and closer as I incorporated many dodges to the attacks that I couldn't simply strafe until the fruits of my labor were finally rewarded with victory. Anyways, let's see what the next boss is. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm gonna go play COD Zombies instead. The final game on this list, I was recently alerted that this game was reopened. Story time. The first time I played this game, I was completely expecting an experience like Entry Point because I'd never played Payday before, so I hated it, and I just left with immense disappointment. However, as I grew older, I eventually played both Payday and Entry Points, and I can confidently say that this is literally just Payday 2, like actually 1-for-1 Payday 2. Like, as someone with an ungodly amount of hours in Payday 2, I can say that this is a very damn good game, and if you can't afford or run Payday 2, just play this. It's literally the exact same experience, except teammates are like 25% worse, but that usually makes the game 25% more fun. You know, we did the jewelry heist, and I mean, the lack of a Ukrainian in my ear is tragic, but other than that, it's just classic Payday fun. If you don't have any money or a device good enough to run Payday, then I cannot recommend this game enough. It's everything good about Payday for absolutely $0. However, I do want to quickly showcase the Ozela heist. Here's the thing, this is a near 20-minute to 40-minute heist, so I'm not gonna indulge in it. But just look at this. I was genuinely in awe when I loaded in because goddamn, I'm no stranger to Roblox putting out peak, whether it be Vesteria or Entry Point or even the newly released Blox Tales. I've always remained by the statement that Roblox houses some of the best games ever made, and if you look past the slop, there's so many gold hidden behind every corner. And like, look at what happens when you alert the place. Do you see how many alerts there are everywhere? Jesus Christ, I'm so dead. And just like that, I closed this game and decided to finally head off for the day, knowing full well that I've just found 13 games that I am probably going to cherish for the rest of my life. Anyways, I'm gonna haul my ass out here and watch the new Ultrakill trailer like 10 times because, you know, that's my job on here. And I do enjoy it. I'm so hyped for this level. This level looks so damn cool. Oh my god. Anyways, if you want to see more stuff like this or just give me more ideas for videos, please comment. It really helps the video out. So I'm gonna stop talking.